Awesome. Aloha, everyone. I think we're live on Facebook and recording. I'm going to go ahead and call our February 22nd FestPAC meeting to order. I have on my phone 2:31 p.m. Thanks for joining us. And I just want to start by asking your indulgence and your patience with me, as this is the first time I'm chairing. So let me know if I screw up. Please just be honest. If I'm missing something, please let me know. But very much looking forward to this work ahead. And also just want to signal my mahalo to Senator English, who recently stepped down from the commission as the Senate President's designee. And we actually are lucky to have Senator Kehokalole, who just joined us from the Senate side, who's on the call today as well. I think he just logged in. But with that being said, Snowbird, can I ask you to open our meeting today, please? Mahalo.
No, anai dia duai kana hele ya rai de ji o e kawa ko ona kino malui dalani malue ho lu mai nai dia duai kana mauka ma ko no
Mahalo. So first order of business on or second rather, our agenda item today is any public testimony. I saw a few members from the public on the call already, but I'd like to take this opportunity to invite members of the public to offer their public comments on any of the agenda items for today. Again, the February 22nd agenda before us. Just go ahead and unmute yourself, turn on your camera. Going once, twice, seeing or hearing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next agenda item, which is agenda item 3, approval of the February 8th meeting minutes. And I just want to start, I've taken a look at these and they've been distributed to members. Members, do you guys have any, well, let me take a motion on the minutes first and then we can open it to discussion.
Motion to accept the minutes.
It's been moved by Commissioner McCumber. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bento. So it's been moved and seconded that we adopt the minutes. Any discussion, comments, questions, or clarifications from the February 8th meeting minutes?
Not from me.
Commissioner De Silva.
Can you hear me? Just checking.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Auntie.
Just on the pagination, the page numbers, that's all I noticed on it. Just a minor correction.
Thank you.
I believe this is the second time that's happened. So maybe that should just be a red flag for the person who's compiling the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie. Members, any other comments or discussion on the minutes from the February 8th meeting? Okay, seeing none, go ahead and take a roll call vote on the minutes to approve the minutes unamended, with the exception of that pagination change, which is a technical non-substantive change to the header for the pagination. I'm going to go ahead and start with those on my screen. Chair votes aye. Commissioner McCumber.
Aye.
Commissioner Bento.
Aye.
Commissioner Salah.
Aye.
Commissioner Lum.
Aye.
Commissioner De Silva.
Aye.
Commissioner Kehokalole.
Aye.
Commissioner Wonkalu.
Aye.
Okay, did I miss any members on the call? All right, it's unanimous. Adopted our minutes from February 8th. Mahalo. We're gonna go ahead and move on to agenda item number 5. Council for Pacific Arts and Culture, CPAC, slowing down. Monty, I believe you're gonna lead us through some of these items and give us some updates.
Right now, really no current updates other than last time that I mentioned that calendar, and we're moving forward with that. And as we know, the RFP period to respond to the RFP for the review of the FestPAC model has closed. I can say that there have been 7 submissions, but other than that, we'll need to wait until CPAC gives its final endorsement before that information can be shared.
Thanks. I just had one question. I noticed, is there a working group meeting on Wednesday?
They're sorting things out right now. There are several meetings that they put on, and I'm not sure if they're going to keep that meeting. They may move it to their Monday, which is our Sunday, but I can, once I find out, I can make sure I follow up.
Okay, and then let me know. I'd like to join if possible.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other questions for Commissioner McCumber? Awesome. Thanks so much, Monty. Moving on to agenda item number 6, festival program. And I just wanted to go ahead and kind of start with a couple of things just to get us going. And then I'll turn it over to Commissioner Bento. But I think in thinking about this, the program for the festival and the activities that we offer are going to be really important. And this is to get Senator Kehokalole up to speed. I think it's going to be really important that the programming gets set first, and then we can back the venues into the needs that we identify. So if we do identify, say, for example, carving as a practice that we would like to offer as part of the festival, then we need to ensure that we select a venue that can support it. There's a bunch of needs in terms of like where trucks can get in and out and can drop off logs and electrical requirements. And so it's really important that we do this step first. And so if you asked me, coming into today's meeting, what our most important thing is, it's finalizing programming, and then we'll go into venues after that. So at this time, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Snowbird. Mahalo.
Okay, mahalo. Kalamai for not being able to be present in the last several meetings. Just a lot of work. Let me take care of this microphone. So a lot of different work things going on, but as far as the programming is concerned, I think that we had worked out all the definitions for what we wanted to offer. We still have to get so I'll get away from the venues and not worry about the venues necessarily, but look at what we wanted to offer as far as panel discussions, forums, symposiums, workshopping venues. I've not made any contacts with any of our venues previously that were committed to helping for 2020 because I wanted to see where we wanted to go. And as far as a deadline for getting the programming set, I know that there's as far as use of I think more university so we can be working with Aaron and we can go ahead and set the programming basically off of the definitions that we have, and then the programs and the panels and symposiums that we were heading towards that tie into the theme, climate change, revitalization within our indigenous communities throughout the Pacific, and looking to how we continue to push through the global pandemic and rely upon our indigenous and kupuna wisdoms to help us bridge those gaps and move forward.
Mahalo for that update. Members, any questions for Commissioner Bento? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And I know Commissioner Bento has to jump off early, so thank you for the update and being able to join us. And then if nothing else on that, we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 7. Oh, Commissioner De Silva.
Yep. Yeah. No, if it's not too much trouble, if you could shoot us your list or your matrix on the programming that we had decided on. It was so long ago, and I'm not sure I have a clean copy.
Yep, no problem.
So that as we move forward, we can have that reference to work on.
So yeah, and then that would go through, is that Scott then first?
Yes, could you send that over to staff and staff will disseminate it? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Snow. Thank you, Margaret.
You guys both beat me to the punchline. Any other questions, members? Okay, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 7, which is festival venues. I preempted it a little bit on the idea that we want to make sure that we have the programming finalized, and then we can back into the venues and make sure we're selecting good ones. I do want to take this opportunity to turn it over to Ilihia if he's on. If he's not on, we'll go ahead and defer to the next month. But as I mentioned, what he's working on is creating the template that'll be able for us to use, one, to select the venue. It'll have all the details, what kind of amenities are available, security, traffic, size, all that kind of stuff will be there. And then after that, we can then pass that on, that same collateral about venues, onto the actual heads of delegation. Because I think, like Commissioner De Silva has shared, they'll have many of the same questions about the venues that we would want to use to making good decisions as well.
Mahalo, Kalani. Ilihia is not on with us at this time. So I just wanted to let you know, but he is, just as you said, working on that template.
Thanks. Okay, any other questions on venues, commissioners? Okay, thanks so much. Then we're gonna go ahead and move on to agenda item number 8. I'll take a swing at it, Jamie, and you let me know if I've missed anything. Senator as well, if you've got something, but essentially the House bill vehicle died. It was a triple referral and wasn't heard in time before first lateral. So the House version is dead. And so the only vehicle right now that we have available to us to extend the commission is Senate Bill 696 SD1. And right now it's presently scheduled for decision making on, I believe, the 24th in the morning. And so we've submitted testimony, obviously in support. Oh, Jamie, go ahead.
I believe it's tomorrow, the 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah, the hearing.
Is it, and then it's 9:45?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so what it would do is it would extend the life of this commission through August of 2025. Yay, I hear you all cheering and clapping in your minds. And then it would also allow some flexibility as it pertains to Chapter 92 that we've been working with Ms. Cheryl Kokazu Park from the Office of Information Practices on. So they've offered some amendments and suggestions to the committee. And we've also sort of filled in one of the pukas that they've left, which is a period before and after the festival proper that would allow a number larger than quorum to meet about official board business. And so we're going to go ahead and request, I believe it was 9 months, Jamie, prior to the festival and 1 month following the last day of the festival as the suggestion to the committee for us to be able to do the work. Did I get it right, Jamie?
Correct.
Okay. Members, any other questions or comments on the Senate bill? Commissioner De Silva.
Do we know why the bill died in the House?
Yep, it was just a scheduling matter. There were 3 referrals. It was a triple referral. So it had to be heard by multiple committees in a certain date, which is commonly referred to first lateral. And we just didn't make the timing.
So how are we looking for tomorrow?
We're good.
Okay,
I think.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on agenda item number 8, the pending legislation?
So what happens in the event that the last remaining bill doesn't fly?
Then we cease to exist, and I believe, is it June of this year? I believe we cease to exist in June of this year.
And then that's it?
And that would signal the end. So we're really hoping that the Senate version doesn't die, and we'll go ahead and keep watching it closely and continue to testify and work with the Senate and House to make sure it keeps moving best we can.
Oh, okay, never mind. All right, mahalo.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. Definitely, this is one thing I think for us as a commission that has to be front of mind as it pertains to this. And so that's why in the last meeting, I was selected to testify on behalf of the commission and Commissioner Salah was the backup if I'm unable to testify, but so far so good. Decision-making tomorrow morning is decision-making only. So we submitted written testimony, which is all that's allowed for decision-making. And so we'll keep you folks posted through staff as soon as we hear more. And then you can also check out the Capitol website as well if you want to track the measure specifically. You can do that on the website as well. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks members. We're gonna move on to agenda item 9. This is the planning for what is agendized as March 8th, but we've had some changes after this agenda was filed. We're looking at shooting for, I believe it's the March 22nd meeting to be our quarterly meeting, which is a little bit longer in its time frame. We sort of built this into the calendar that was distributed, I think it was last meeting, that would allow us basically quarterly meetings and an annual meeting to get a little bit of a deeper dive than the bi-weekly meetings. So members, I wanted to open it up to you folks. Is there anything that you think we should be covering in the quarterly meeting in that March 22nd agenda that we want to cover in a quarterly fashion? Maybe take a deeper dive, pull in a presentation or partners that aren't at these regular meetings, and add a little bit of emphasis to them to say, hey, it's a quarterly meeting, can you join us? I don't know, I just want to open the floor. Commissioner McCumber.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I do think we might want to start discussing fundraising, timeline, milestones, and what we think the entire budget will look like in terms of maybe, private monies. And I do think it'd be nice to invite Aaron on behalf of the UH system, and if he has any input there, or actually maybe him and a few others from UH if he wants to invite them. But I would defer for that to Commissioner Bento.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Ako.
Okay. I would agree. I think now's the time, like now that the programming is settling down, we have a much better opportunity to determine the budget for each section and start to kind of chunk this up into pieces, because I think we got to know the number. Like, what is the top line number? Is this a $6 million festival, a $10 million festival? What's the top line number? We're going to need that. One, both as a fundraising goal for private funding that we want to source, or making any allocation requests to the legislature that we would need to support the festival. So I think that's a really good suggestion, Monty. Any others?
Commissioner Bento.
Go ahead.
Just being sure that while programming is driving, it seems programming is driving some of the budgetary items, we're also switching up a lot of the different venues that we had up in previously. Is there a way for us to, this might be a really not so smart question to ask, but is there a ballpark figure that we should be aiming for already that we knew based off of previous budget that we should be aiming for?
That's a good point. We know what prior festivals cost, and not to say that ours would be exactly the same. I think there are going to be some differences across geographies and economies, but I know we saw a number as high as I think 10 million at one point. And that's inclusive. And what I think makes that unique is we have to house, feed, and transport all of the delegates, which makes this unlike a normal festival where those attendees usually cover their own costs for that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Mahalo.
Of course. Auntie Mapu.
So I just want to see if I'm hearing you correctly. Is a March 22nd meeting a really good meeting for us to vet the venues, to have all that information, and to, since we have the programming, would that be a good time for a longer discussion on each of the venues and what to put where? Or are we just going to let Snowbird's committee make those determinations? Is it a commission determination or is it a committee determination?
if I understood this right, and please chime in, but my recollection was that the venues would be voted on by the full commission at the recommendation of the committee.
Okay, so going back to the kind of process for this, you said Ilihia is putting together a template, the template to gather the information, or he's actually going to gather the information and have it all set up so we know the name of the venue, the cost, you know, the whatever the requirements are for that. Is he making a template for that to be done, or is he making the template and all the information is going to be included? And then after that's completed, will that go to Snowbird's committee for them to make recommendations to the commission?
It's a little bit of both. So let me go back to our Kuleana matrix. There are a couple of commissioners that have responsibilities for venues. And so I just would refer commissioners back to the Kuleana matrix and see if your name is attached to venues. Ilihia is going to set up the template because we wanted consistency in what we collected in terms of the kind of information on each venue. So that's a template he'll create to distribute to the commissioners, who then have venues attached to their Kuleana in our Kuleana matrix. Now, based on that, then we can kind of come back together and work with Commissioner Bento and figure out, you know, some recommendations, and then take it up to the full commission. In terms of timeline, I'm a little bit open. I don't want to drag it out too long because I want to secure the dates with these venues as soon as we possibly can, just to ensure that we have them. The quarterly meeting could be that meeting, but it doesn't have to be. My intention today was to raise this awareness that we're going to do the quarterly meeting at the end of March and give us a few run-up meetings, namely the March 8th and March 15th meetings, to prep for the March 22nd. So if March 22nd does become the date we actually vote on venues, we could. Any thoughts?
I have a question.
I think that's a really good timeline. It's tight.
Okay. Makanani.
I have a question because what it sounds like right now is sort of the venues that were already vetted for the last festival are the ones we're going to focus on. Being that we are thinking about adding the university, did you want us to try and get that information set up so that we can look at it in addition to the venues that are already in the matrix? I'm just wondering, so we have a better look at what is available so that when we're deciding programming and venues, we know sort of what UH is offering or what they can put on the table.
So just for discussion, and I'm open, we haven't decided collectively anyway, but the one venue we probably need to keep in the conversation is the convention center. And that's because we have a contract already executed with them. So the convention center should be on the table no matter what. But I think, and I'd open it to you folks, I think we're open to reassessing some of that. We know that the Promenade was looking at being reassessed as well as a venue. And so if we're willing to revisit that, then it sort of necessitates a broader look at all the venues. And so whether that's inclusive of the university system or others, I'm open to it. We didn't make commitments, as far as I'm aware, to any other venue other than the convention center. And actually signed a contract with the convention center. So I think most venues, it's an open game.
Might it be conducive for us to I do have the list I had previously, but what each venue was on the table, so that we can have that. We'll probably have to those venues to see if they're even able to continue.
Snow, we're having a hard time hearing you, but I'm gonna try and crowdsource from the rest of the commissioners what they picked up.
We're hoping to
Kalani, could I also just make one comment here? Could I ask the commission members to the extent that they can turn on their cameras during the meeting? It's just something that OIP has recommended. So to the extent they have that capability, if they could do that. Thanks.
Thanks, Margaret. I think Commissioner Bento is on her hands-free with another commitment. So I think that's why we're having some of the connection issues as well. But I think if I heard Commissioner Bento, there was a table that we were working from, and she was asking that we update it. Did I get that right? I don't know, I'm crowdsourcing here.
That's what I gathered as well.
Okay. So what we'll do, Malia, can you make sure that Ilihia goes back to Commissioner Bento and works with her on that table, uses that to formulate the template, and we'll circulate everything via staff back to the commission to take a look at. But I think in essence, if I wanted to summarize it, essentially what we would do is we are saying, with the exception of the convention center, because we have an executed contract, and the residence halls at UH, because we also have an executed contract for the residents, that everything else is sort of open to rethinking. Is that correct? Is that a fair assessment? Okay, I'm seeing head nods and yeses. Okay. And I think that's the smart thing to do, right? We knew that there were some challenges in the compressed time frame when we were doing the 2021 version of the festival that pushed us in certain directions. So I don't want us beholden to that. And so, yes, I think, Makanani, to your point, having the university and what they're available and open to would be good. We know we had some discussions with the Polynesian Cultural Center as well as Bishop Museum for different needs. And so what I think is going to be important, though, and to bring clarity to, is, again, I want them tied to the practices we're offering, and then ensuring that the venues compete isn't the right word, but we need to make sure that we're selecting venues for the needs that we have as the festival. We certainly appreciate the support and offering of support that venues have made, but I want to make sure that the venue can support all of the needs that we have to run a safe and healthy festival first and foremost, and go from there. Does that sound good? Okay. Okay, so back to the broader context of why we got down that rabbit hole, was the quarterly meeting. So if I'm hearing us correctly, venues could be potentially ready for decision making at the quarterly meeting. We also wanted to agendize for the quarterly meeting fundraising, and tied to fundraising, a top line budget number that might help us set a goal for fundraising. Did I hear that correctly? Okay. Anything else that we think we want to work into that? It's scheduled presently from 2:30 to 5 p.m.
Did we want to revisit also the idea of the honorary chair position or the delegation, Kuleana?
I think we have to. Uncle Nainoa, as far as I know, and if somebody knows differently, I don't think he actually formally accepted. I'm not totally sure, but last I spoke to him, he was like, I heard I'm the honorary chair for this, but I don't know. And so I haven't re-engaged with him since, but maybe that is something we can take up at the quarterly meeting. Does that sound okay? Okay, I think that might be good. I don't want to give us too much for the quarterly. So if I'm hearing correctly, honorary chair, and then budget and fundraising, and then venue decision making. Is that correct? Okay, nods, heads, yes, thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah,
any other thoughts, Commissioner De Silva?
If we can put those agenda items in priority, I think venues would go first. And if we end up taking the whole 2.5 hours on that, then we defer the other items till the next long meeting, because I think the next one is May 17th, which is actually a lot longer than the quarterly meeting. And so that might be a better place to bring in the fundraising and the other partners that we might be able to entice into our circle at that meeting. Because then by then, if we concentrate on getting the venues selected at this, it's only a 2.5 hour meeting. It's only an hour longer than what we have now. But I would say put all the agenda items on in case we get done with venues, but really try to, if we can push it and vet that now and set it, then I think all the other dominoes are going to fall into place easier. Just my mana'o.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. So restating the priorities for the agenda for the quarterly meeting, we would do venue decision making first, and then our fundraising and budget conversation, and then honorary chair last. Okay, not hearing any screams. I think we're good. Okay, anything else for the quarterly? Awesome, thanks members. Okay, next thing I want to go back to our agenda is to open our meeting for public comments. If there are members in the public who would like to offer testimony and things that they've heard on the agenda so far today, I'd like to go ahead and open the floor for that now. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. This is agenda item number 10, public comment, going once, twice, 3 times. Okay, hearing and seeing none. I'm gonna go ahead and confirm our next commission meeting as March 8th, same time, same place. And without anything else, members, can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, Commissioner De Silva.
You mentioned the March 8th and a March 15th meeting before the 22nd. I don't have the 15th on my agenda, on my calendar. We only have a March 8th and then the 22nd.
Good point. Yes. And so let me go back with the team and confirm, because we had moved the March 8th meeting, my apologies, because we had heard that the CPAC meeting was going to convene on the same day and 3 of us would be at that CPAC meeting. I mean, are you guys open still on the 8th and leaving it as we originally calendared and not doing a 15th?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what Malia came back and
Thank you.
rescheduled the reschedule.
Thank you. No
So
worries.
it's just the 8th and then the quarterly meeting on the 22nd.
Correct. So let me restate and be clear. The 8th would be our next meeting, followed by the quarterly meeting on the 22nd at 2:30, both of them.
Yes.
Okay, I think I got them right. Thanks for keeping me honest. If not, I'll entertain an, oh, go ahead.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yay. Second, any discussion? All right, thank you, commissioners and public members and staff. That adjourns our meeting. And if there's anything else, we'll see you guys next meeting. Aloha, everyone.